TM for playing this beautiful music, Gracia la Vida, my favorite Spanish song. First time I heard this song was from Joan Baez. Joan Baez is an American singer, and I met her during my walk around the world for peace. And so ever since she sang this song has touched my heart. And also so lovely to see that beautiful young girl singing so innocently and so beautifully. You are teachers here. You teach whatever subject you are teaching. If every child from your school comes out singing, you have my full mark for education. Every child should learn to sing. And when you are singing, you are happy. One way to be happy is to sing some songs, whatever language. The second thing to be happy is to learn to dance. So in every school, like yesterday I said every school should have a garden, every school should have a dance lesson. How many of you teach dance in your school? Raise hands. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's few, too few. Every school should have children learning to dance. Singing, dancing. Those are 2 things. 3, poetry. Every school is not about lesson about literature, reading old literature. It's every child learning to write poetry. Everyone should be a poet. And also I want to explain to you that poet does not mean only who can write beautiful words on a page. The word poetry and a poet comes from a Greek language, and the original Greek is poiesis. Poiesis means to make. So a poet is a maker. Anybody who can make something with your own imagination. To be a poet, you have to be imaginative. Imagination. And all of us, every human being, every animal, every tree, every creature is endowed by imagination, gifted with imagination. The universe has given everybody imagination. We are made of 5 elements: earth, air, fire, water, and 5th element is non-material, metaphysical, invisible, but everyone has it, is imagination. We have all, every one of us, have imagination. But in our schools, we don't encourage imagination. In our universities, we don't encourage our imagination. In our workplace, in shops, offices, government offices, corporation offices, we don't encourage imagination. We are encouraged to copy somebody else's ideas and follow the rules. Follow the rules. We need to use our imagination. And a poetry comes by learning imagination, learning to cultivate, learning to evolve, learning to arise your imagination. And as I said, everybody has it. You don't have to go to a supermarket to buy imagination. And imagination is what great architecture comes from. Imagination is where great art comes from. Imagination is where great gardens come from. Imagination is where great politics comes from. Great religions come from. So, from this conference, from this weekend, all of you teachers, go, teach what you like, mathematics, science, history, geography, whatever you are teaching, fine, no problem. They are all okay. But make sure that you encourage every child in your school to learn to sing. Okay? Promise? And every child to learn to dance. And every child learn to do poetry. Poetry in words, but also anything with imagination. Poetry with a beautiful piece of garden is imagination, poetry. Beautiful kitchen and food cooked on the table and lovingly prepared with imagination, with creativity. That food is poetry. So poetry, yes, learn to use the words and write poetry, but also make something. Teach every child to make something. Be a maker. Our modern industrial consumerist society teaches us, asks us, forces us to become consumers. Now, the job of a teacher is not to turn your students into consumers, but turn them into poets, into makers, into dancers, into singers. And when they go out of your school, and even if they come out of your university, I mean, yesterday when we were having 5 or 6 young people from schools talking, and they say, what will make you happy? And some of them said, I want to have a job. I said, they are miseducated. They are miseducated. You don't want to have a job. You want to have a life. You want to have a life, not a job. When students leave Schumacher College, where I teach, at the end of their year, when they are leaving, I say to them, no, go out in the world, but don't look for a job. Jobs kill our imagination. Create your own job. Create your own work. Form a little cooperative. Form a little group of colleagues together. Work together, 10, 15, 20 people. Form a little, create a shop, a garden, a little business, a bookshop, a restaurant, whatever. The lunch you are going to have yesterday and today is created by a family. I visited their restaurant. They grow that vegetables in their own garden. And they cook lovingly, family business. That's a livelihood. If they were working in a restaurant under a job like McDonald's or Kentucky Chicken or something, they will be just becoming slaves. So our jobs are making us slaves. It's a harsh word, but it's true. Because we are not allowed to use our imagination. And so, don't look for a job. Look for livelihood. Livelihood is different from job. And create your own livelihood together with 5, 10, 50. Don't be too big. Small is beautiful. Don't make too big business. The moment you become 20, 30, 50, 100 people, then you have to have a lot of rules. And everybody has to follow the rules. But if you are a small business, 10 or 15 or 20 people, or maybe 25 people, something like that, small number, so that everybody can talk to each other, everybody can communicate. If there are any rules to be broken, you can break it, you can make new rules, You can be more spontaneous. You can improvise. Great art is always improvised. You don't follow rules. The moment you start to follow rules, you are not using your imagination. You are not an artist. You are not a poet. You are just a slavishly following the rules. So that is education. Education for life. This is what the title of this conference is. Not education for jobs. And word education is a very beautiful word. It's a Latin word. Educare. If you go back to your etymological dictionary and understand the true meaning of the word education, is to bring out what is already in the child. Child has come with imagination, with compassion, with creativity, with love, with generosity, with all the things that child needs. The seeds are already there. Child is a seed. Like a great oak tree or great banyan tree comes out of a seed. So great Picasso, great Buddha, great Jesus Christ, great Lao Tzu, they come from that baby child. And all those great people use their imagination. Jesus Christ did not go to school. Jesus Christ did not have MA, PhD in compassion and love. The Buddha did not have PhD or MA or BA in compassion. So every child is born with whatever they need to be. Khalil Gibran, a wonderful Lebanese poet from Lebanon, wrote a book called Prophet. And he talks about child. And he says to parents and teachers, but particularly the parents, father and mother, he says, children come through you, not from you. Children are life's longing for itself. Give them your love, but not your thoughts. Give them your love, but not your thoughts. They have their own destination. Each and every child comes in this world with their own destination. Trust the destination. Trust them. Every child is a potential Buddha. Every child is a potential Jesus. Every child is a potential St. Francis. Every child is potential Mother Teresa. A potential Picasso. A potential Van Gogh. A potential Beethoven and Bach. But we suppress their imagination. And we think this child knows nothing. This child is stupid, ignorant. It's like an empty basket. And we keep putting rubbish in this basket. And so, child is not a basket to be put information or knowledge in it. Child is to be helped to grow and find his or her own meaning of life. And teachers are like gardeners. A gardener plants the seed, looks after it, makes sure that it has a bit of water, make sure it has a bit of compost, make sure that it has a bit of barrier so that the sheep or goat or some cow or some donkey in your place don't come and eat it. So you teachers are gardeners. Consider yourself as a teacher. I'm a gardener. And child is a flower, the seed, and it will become flower. It will become fruit. It will blossom under my care. I will compost. I'll water. I'll give a bit of sunshine. I will look after it. But let it grow as it is. Don't try to turn khaki into apple. Don't try to turn olives into almonds. Let the almond be almond. Let olive be olive. Let khaki be khaki. Let apple be apple. Let each child be who they are, what they are. Let them be. Why we have to tell a child that you all have to be engineers, you all have to be doctors, you all have to be accountants, you all have to be this, all you have to be that, because our market needs you. We market needs doctors or engineers or accountants. Children are not for the market. They are not for the jobs, and they are not for the market. Market is for the children. Let the market work to support and help and allow child to become himself, herself. That is the work of a teacher. So you are the gardeners. Take this word with you from this conference. I'm a gardener of my children. I'll allow my children to grow and become flowers and become fruit and flourish as they are, who they are. I want to support them. I don't want to tell them what to be. Let them be who they are. Children learn by themselves. Like my son Mukti said to me this morning. He said, when I was growing up, you never told me anything. Only you told me when I asked you something, a question. So let the children ask you questions. And then you can help them with answers. And even say to them, well, my answer is only one answer. There are many, many answers. And you have to find your own answer in the end. But you can help them a little bit. A teacher is there, has to be very humble. Teacher is there in humility to revere the child. Child is a little Buddha, a little Jesus, a little Picasso, a little Beethoven, a little Bach, little St. Francis, little Mother Teresa, little Bangari Mathai, little Vandana Shiva. Little these great beings have come from that child. So have that great love for the child and teach them only as a gardener and not as somebody who can genetically engineers. At the moment, children are being genetically engineered in our schools and universities. They are molded, they are manipulated to fit the market. Humans have become the instrument of the economy. Economy should be for people, not people for the economy. The other way around. So, children know who they are. Let them be who they are. And then, secondly, not before they go to school for 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, even later, the parents are also the gardeners. As father, and you saw my son and me yesterday, and my daughter who lives near Barcelona, in Sitges, I felt that with my children, that I have something, I should be there, always available, because the parents are also teachers. Teachers are not only in the schools, and 2 parents for 1 child at a time until they grow 4 or 5 years old, then you have a second child. So 2 teachers per child. What a beautiful system of nature. What a beautiful organization and arrangement. Nature never says, oh, it's too expensive to have 2 parents for 1 child. Too expensive. And in the schools we say, oh, it's too expensive to have only 10 children in a class or 20 children in a class. We have to have 30 children in a class. So we need to have parents as teachers and parents as gardeners, taking care of our children. It's very important because parents should not think that all the responsibility is in the school. We have no responsibility. Every father, every mother, 2 teachers for 1 child. That's a wonderful, wonderful system of the universe. And then, of course, nature is our teacher. We learn so much from nature. I learn all the time. My mother, when I was little boy of 4 years old, 5 years old, she will take me, hold my finger like this in her hand and say, let's go for a walk. We'll walk to our farm. Let's not go on a horseback. Let's not go on a bullock cart. Let's not go on we had no cars in those days. There was no electricity, no telephone, never mind smartphone, not even electricity, not even landline. There was nothing. But my mother was a great teacher of me. I learned from her more than anybody. If you ask me who is your best teacher, I had met many people. My great teacher, Vinoba, my Jain teacher, Tulsi, my many wonderful people I have met. But if you ask me who was your best teacher, I would say my mother. And she will hold my finger and say, walk. Walking, I learned, first and foremost, I learned from my mother that I have 2 legs and I can walk long distances. This is thanks to my mother that I was able to walk around the world for 2.5 years. Because I learned from age 4 or 5. I was walking 2 miles, 3 miles, 4 miles without any problem. And when we were walking, she will tell me about trees and the bees. Particularly, I remember she teaching me about bees. And she said, look at the bees. They are wonderful. Why, mother, they are so wonderful? They sting. I said, no. They pollinate. If there were no bees, there would be no fruit. There would be no mangoes. There would be no apples. There would be no apricots. There would be no oranges. There would be no flowers. Bees pollinate. They bring male, female trees together and they pollinate. Wow, mother, really? That's how I learned about bees. And then mother would say, look, bees go from flower to flower to flower, taking only a little nectar here, a little nectar there, a little nectar there. Never too much. Never ever a flower has complained that bees have taken too much nectar away. Never. Flowers never complain because the bees take only a little. Humans, when we take so much. Mining. Oil, coal, iron, steel, take too much. But bees take too little. That's my mother taught me. Ecology of the bees. And then she said, these bees not only take nectar, but they transform that nectar into sweet, delicious, healthy, healing honey. What a wonderful metaphor. She said, how many humans can do that? We take and we turn into rubbish. We take something and turn into plastic or something, rubbish. But bees don't turn anything into rubbish. Bees turn nectar into honey. So humans have that responsibility. We have to learn from the bees. We have to learn from the bees. And transform what we take into something beautiful. My mother used to say 3 words. Whatever you have, it's in my book, Elegant Simplicity. Many of you have bought. You will read it. My mother used to say, everything you make, like honeybee, should have 3 things. First, it should be beautiful. Beauty is the food for the soul. Beauty is the food for imagination. So everything in your house, in your kitchen, in your workplace, in your clothes, in your shoes, they should be beautiful. Make something beautiful. The number 2, beautiful is not enough. You can have just decoration of the beauty. That's not enough. Beautiful should also be useful. Whatever you are wearing, you are using your pots, your pans, your furniture, your chairs, everything should be useful. Beauty and utility should not be divorced. Beauty and utility should not be separated. And beauty should not be sent into exile and utility somewhere. At the moment, our society is producing so much functional, utilitarian, useful things. Maybe they are useful, but they are not beautiful. Or they are producing beautiful things like work of art, and that we put in the museum. Art has been exiled into museum, art galleries, concert halls, whatever. My mother said art's place is not the museum. Place of art is not the galleries. Place of music is not the concert halls. Place of music and art is your home. Every home should be beautiful and useful. Work of art, everything you make should be work of art. Every home is a gallery. Every home is a museum. That was my mother's idea. Beautiful and useful. And then she had a third word. Everything you make should be also durable, lasting. Like my son said yesterday, that you get something, it's also low carbon. Because my mother did not have idea of low carbon, I must say, because she was teaching me in 1940s, when I was a young boy. In those days, nobody knew about climate change. There was nothing happening. But my mother would say, even then, climate change or no climate change, things should last, because there are only limited resources in the world. It's a finite world. And how can you have infinite consumption in a finite world? And so things should last. So I call it my mother's BUD principle, B-U-D. Beautiful, useful, durable. So now when you go home, look at your life. Look at your things. If things are not beautiful, try to get rid of them. And everything you have in the future should be beautiful. And then you should also think, is this useful or only decoration? Decoration is not enough. Should be useful. And then also ask, is it durable? Is it lasting? How long it will last? Fashion changes. Every season you have a new clothes. Every season you have something new. Every year, new smartphone or new something. Things should be made to last. A computer or a smartphone should last for 20 years. Why not? Why you have to change every year? Just you have to go to the Congo and see how resources are being stolen from the Congo to make our smartphones. Therefore, if you are taking those resources from the Congo, take them frugally, carefully, and use those resources for a long time to come. So beautiful, useful, durable. That is the lesson I learned from my mother. So I say to you, every mother is a teacher. Every father is a teacher. Teacher is not only in the school. Father and mother are also teacher. And nature is our teacher. Like honeybee, my mother taught me, is your teacher. The trees are our teacher. I have 15 apple trees in my garden. And you go to the tree, anybody can go, whether I or anybody else, a poor, a rich, somebody from the prison, anybody go to apple tree. It never asks you, do you have Visa card? Have you got your wallet? Do you have money? It's free gift. Unconditional love, like Raphael was talking about, unconditional acceptance. Learn from the tree. Tree is our teacher. Tree is our mentor. And so, unconditional giving, that we learn from nature. Nature is our great teacher. One of the wonderful women called Janine Benyus, she wrote a wonderful book called Biomimicry. If you have not come across, please look out for it. And she says how nature works. The design of nature, the intricacy of nature, the complexity of nature, and yet simplicity of nature is something miracle, something amazing, something magical, something magnificent, something majestic, something out of this world. This is why poets are so inspired by nature. The artists are so inspired by nature. The philosophers are inspired by nature. So, child is his and her own teacher. Remember, they have their wisdom. They have the tree inside them. Child's mother and father are also teachers. And then the school teachers are also teachers. I mean, you can be very radical and say you don't need schools and you don't need this and that. But I'm not going that far. I'm saying you are in the school, you are teachers, okay. But just change your attitude, change your values, change your mindset, and just watch the children flourish and become who they are, and give them your support, give them your love, give them your assistance, like a compost, like water, like all that. So this way, we can transform education. And when they come out, if they can sing, they will be happy. If they can dance, they will be happy. If they can write poetry, they will be happy. And then money will come, jobs will come or not come, livelihood is the better. That's how. So this is my view of education. And I think this is nothing too radical. It's not impossible. Every school can do it. I'm not asking to close the schools and don't have any school. I'm not doing that radical. I'm saying within the system, you can change and transformation can be brought about. You don't have to discard the system altogether. It's too difficult for every teacher to say, let's not have any school at all. I mean, that is a very ideal world. I'm a great follower and fan and a reader of Ivan Illich. Ivan Illich wrote a wonderful book called Deschooling Society. And I invited him to give Schumacher a lecture. But at this moment, step by step. So the first step is to change your attitude. Change your outlook about the children. And see children not as an empty basket, but full of potential and full of possibilities. And they have everything they need in themselves. It only needs flourishing, only needs blossoming. So see the child as a complete, total, whole human being, like a tree in the seed. The whole person is in the child. And then secondly, teach, if you are parents, teach your children, love your children, and teach your children yourself. Don't just hope for the school. And then if you are in the school teacher, then also you become a gardener and teacher. And then, of course, learn from nature. So these are the 4 ideas that I would like you to take away from this conference. And so this is my last talk, and this is my last session, more or less. I have to leave about 1 o'clock, 1:30 today. So I would like to thank Guillaume and all of you for inviting me again and again. And maybe some of the things I'm saying to you, I am repeating. Maybe I spoke these things last year and the year before, I don't know. But anyway, it's good to be reminded. And so even if I have repeated, please forgive me and see these things as if I am reminding you. But thank you very much. It has been my great pleasure to participate in this conference. And may this annual gathering of teachers and parents and radical activists continuously hold these conferences annually every year. And please support Guillaume in any way you can. Also, Guillaume has to put all the kind of costs of organizing conferences, like paying our travel expenses and so on. So if any of you are able to give some donation to Guillaume's organization, please make some donation and support him and keep coming to this conference every year after year. And it's been my joy and pleasure to be with you. And if I've said anything which is not good, which is not right, please throw it away. Don't listen to me. Only if I have said something which is helpful to you, useful to you, take it away. If something not useful, if I'm saying something out of order, something wrong, please don't forgive me. Please forgive me and don't take it with you. But only if I have said something good, please take it with you. And thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, 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 thank you. 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 Yeah. Thank you. 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 Okay.